Hey everyone, this Succession Wars player is about to head into the ilClan era. Temporarily, of course, but as a follow-up to a couple videos I made talking about the BattleTech core product release that's coming in August 2026, so a few months from now. That's going to be the new starter box, the core box, and the core rulebook. I thought it might be interesting to run through a game of BattleTech in the ilClan era and using as many of the new core rules as possible. So I've got some mercenaries set up here on the right, and I've got them going up against some clanners here on the left. It's kind of muddled a little bit in the ilClan era because everything's everywhere. So, Intersphere factions can use clan mechs and clan mechs can use, I guess, Intersphere designs if they wanted to. But we're going to see what it's like. I'm going to give you a little bit of feedback on how the game plays when I'm done and just some general commentary about what I think of the ilClan era. I've been doing some reading and I'm going to let you know what I think at the end. So let me get things set up. I'll walk you through what the mission's going to be and we'll get started. All right, here's a look at the terrain and the units that we have for this battle in the ilClan era. We're going to be doing an urban sweep mission. This is actually a new type that's going to be included in the upcoming core rulebook, but they were nice enough to share them in the playtest that they were using leading up to the announcement of these products. And so I thought, what the heck, let's try that. Let's try a new one. I'll give you a brief explanation of how the mission works, but let me just tell you generally what I'm trying to do. I said it a little bit in the intro. But my goal here is to be, let me just take the perspective of someone who's new to BattleTech, or maybe like me, has played the Succession Wars and the Clan Invasion, and maybe is just getting back into BattleTech, and I'm going to buy the core box when it comes out in August. I might also buy the core rulebook, and I'm just going to go ahead and play a mission as though I have only those two products. I mean, you're going to have different mechs and miniatures for that, but let's just ignore that for a minute. I'm going to play a game using those products and see how it goes. I want to see, first of all, what it's like to play ilClan, because I never have before. I want to see how difficult I think it would be for somebody to learn this. I'm also going to play with battlefield support, which I've done already, but just having that in the game, because that in the core rulebook is what will be guiding players who want to try vehicles and infantry and maybe VTOLs, like helicopter type units. And then I'm going to use the changes to the core rules and implement as many of them as I can. Again, some might change, some I might not really understand because there's not enough detail, but I'm going to do the best I can to incorporate those changes. But that's the basic premise of what I'm trying to do here. And hopefully that will give you a feel for what this is like. If you're like me, who kind of shuns the newer eras, this will give you an idea of what it's like to play. If you're new to BattleTech or just trying to learn about it, hopefully this will show you what the game will look like with these new rules. And as always, I welcome your feedback. You can let me know what you think and maybe what your experience is playing in this era. As I do for all of my playthroughs, I'm going to control the opposing force with the Aces decks from the BattleTech Aces Scouring Sands box. That's going to be the clan side, so the Shadow Cat, the Kit Fox, and two pairs of elementals that will be riding these mechs to start the game. These mechs here, by the way, I guess would be the Wolf Empire now. I'm still learning the lore from the ilClan era. I'm using the battlefield support assets for the elementals. I have two cards there for those. Like I said, they'll be riding the mechs to start the game, so they won't be on the map until a little bit later. And on my side, I have a Phoenix Hawk, a Cicada, which I'll show you in a minute. I'll show you their record sheets for all of these mechs. They're very interesting. And I have a Skulker and a Pegasus for my battlefield support assets, so I have the cards for those right here. I'm trying to use some more advanced versions of them than I've used in past videos. So a couple of the immediate rules that you're going to see that are different from how battlefield support has worked before. Number one, these units and the two elementals are going to operate in normal initiative order. So they're not going to have their own initiative phase where all the assets have to move and then the mechs do their movement. It's all combined. I can move whatever units I want in whatever order I want, assets or mechs, doesn't matter. In addition, for units like the Pegasus and like the elementals that have these groupings, these damage cluster groupings, you roll separately for each grouping. So for this one, I will roll 2 pairs of dice for each 6-point cluster. And for this one, I would roll 4 pairs of dice for each 7-point cluster. For the mechs, I'm going to show you the record sheets. I am using flex sheets for this because apparently the ilClan record sheets are very hard to get. You have to pay for them. They're in the recognition guides, and I'm sorry, I'm not paying $15 for a bunch of recognition guides for these units. They should just be downloadable for free. I mean, if you want us to play this game and use the ilClan era, make these record sheets free. What the heck? So on the clan side, we have a Kit Fox R. So this is the Omni configuration R. It's not that crazy, but it has 6 walking speed, 9 running. It has a rotary autocannon 5, Those I'm familiar with already. I have used ultra and rotary autocannons before. Basically, that just means you're going to be able to choose how many bullets, so to speak, you're going to shoot when you use that weapon. And then you roll on the cluster hits table. And it has a streak SRM6, so that means we won't be rolling cluster hits for that weapon. All the missiles will hit when a streak is successful. There is also a Shadowcat Omni Configuration I. It also has 6 walking and 9 running movement. It has mask. That's a piece of equipment that I can optionally enable when I'm moving. And, well, I should say when the aces are moving. And it can allow them to run farther, more hexes. So instead of running 9, it can run 12. But there is a risk of doing critical damage to the legs when you activate that, and especially if you continuously use it. So if you use it from one round to the next, it increases that chance. This has 2 streak SRM6s. It has 2 ER medium pulse lasers with a targeting computer, and 2 medium improved heavy lasers with a targeting computer. Targeting computer basically means you get a -1 to all attacks, I believe, and you can do aimed attacks without the unit being immobile. Medium pulse lasers aren't a big deal. I think it's just a straight up -2 to the attack. They're easier to hit with, but they generate more heat usually. And the improved heavy lasers, they do more damage from the same range as a normal medium laser, but the improved version does not have a penalty. So I guess the normal heavy laser had a +1 penalty to attack. The improved one does not. So it's just roll normally, but they do more damage. They do 10 damage. All right, on my side, I have a Phoenix Hawk C2. These 2 mechs, I got some tips on those. I was looking around for mechs that people recommended, and this is one of them. This one also, well, this one has a supercharger, which functions similarly to Mask. I'm probably going to have to double check the rules when I use this stuff to make sure I'm following it, but I think it works similarly. There's just different ways that the damage is applied. So if it fails, you roll a critical hit, but I think it's actually on the center torso, not the legs. I think that's the difference. Anyway, I'll figure it out as I'm playing. This has a large pulse laser, 2 medium pulse lasers, and 2 anti-personnel Gauss rifles, and they all have the targeting computer attached to them. This looks like a pretty awesome mech. This is on Innersphere equipment, so not quite as good as Clan, but still looks like a pretty awesome mech. And finally, the Cicada. A Cicada I'd actually want to use. It has okay armor. It has really cool weapons. It has 2 medium variable speed pulse lasers. So it does different amounts of damage at different ranges, and it has different 2-hit modifiers at different ranges. I think it's -3 at short, -2 at medium, and -1 at long. And it has a medium re-engineered laser. And I got to double check what that one does. I'm drawing a blank on it. This unit also has a supercharger. So it can go, it has 8 walking and 12 running. It can go up to 16 running if it uses that supercharger. So there you go. There are the units. This is some of the advanced technology that you'll see. I don't think any of these have special armor. Maybe I missed it, but I don't see any of the like reflective or hardened armor or anything like that. So I don't feel like I have to worry about that. All right, last thing. How about the mission? How does this urban sweep work? The way it tells you to set up the mission is to have 6 building tokens on the map. I'm using physical buildings. This is HexTech drop-based Delta terrain. It's the stuff that comes pre-painted out of the box. Each of these buildings is scannable. So if a unit gets within 2 hexes of the building, they can scan it. And when you scan it, you roll 1d6. If you roll a 4 or higher, that building contains special intelligence that's worth 2 victory points. And that's basically what we're trying to do here. We're looking through this dilapidated base, searching for some sort of hidden intelligence that we think might be there, and each of us are trying to get it. Now, the scans can happen by multiple units. So if all 4 mechs are here within 1 hex of this building, they can all scan it, and they could all get victory points from it. But once that scan happens, that token, which I'm going to place on here, I'm going to use the waypoint tokens from the Aces box, that goes away. So it can only be scanned once. So if only 1 unit's here and they scan it, it goes away. If there's 4 units here, they can all scan it. They might all get 2 victory points, and then you take it away. So the building can only be scanned once is basically what I'm saying. That's the basics. I'll keep you updated if there's any change to the rules or anything I didn't realize. The last part is you roll 1d6 for command complications. I rolled and got a 2. That is edge. So my fun little Aces edge tokens are going to come back into play. Each side gets 3 of them. You can use them for the things you would expect. So you can bump 1 attack roll by 1 to make it hit. You can re-roll the determining critical hits check, and you can do the cluster table too. I don't think we'll do that. I guess we would do it on the rotary autocannon, so it's possible. So that'll be fun to have some edge. I was glad I got that one. Oh, final thing. I did notice the Skulker here has a PRB special ability, which technically means it's allowed to scan 2. even though normally battlefield support assets cannot scan. I think just to be fair, I'm not going to let it scan. It's going to have to be the mechs because that would give me an unfair advantage because the elementals can't scan. Now, normally when you're playing against somebody, it's all fair. They pick something with a probe. You know, if you rolled up the mission randomly, well, they got lucky. They had something that would be really useful in this mission, and there you go. But I think for this, I'll just keep it out of it. Let's start, as we do every BattleTech playthrough, by rolling initiative. And as I like to do, I use color-coordinated dice. This will be the Wolf Empire, I suppose, side, and this will be the Mercenary side. Let's roll them up and see who gets a higher number. I do. Clan side is going to have to go first. Now, the way this will work, because there are no elementals out, I'll double check the rules on them dismounting. I don't know if they'll dismount this round, but I will deal with initiative based on whether they're on the map or not. So if they're not, it's going to be they move 1, we move 2. And if they are, then I might have to switch that up a little bit. All right, let me get them off the map and we'll get going. All right, I double checked the rules, and the elementals can dismount during the movement phase, but they're not allowed to do anything after that. So initiative's just going to be, they have 2, we have 4. Also, just to point out, as far as how assets work, these elementals have this mechanized special ability, and that means they're allowed to mount any units that are Omnimex. So the Shadow Cat and the Kit Fox are both Omnimex, so that means they can mount. They're going to start the game mounted, as I mentioned, and then they can dismount at some point. They can remount if they'd like during the game, but that's just a little bit different. You just have to see those special abilities, which aren't necessarily part of the Total Warfare rules, so just wanted to point out how that operates. All right, I put the tokens on the buildings. Like I said, I'm not flipping them over or anything. It's just representing which buildings are still scannable. So the first unit up is the Shadow Cat, and I'm going to treat the aces as having a movement objective on each one of those tokens. So their first instruction will basically be overlap one of the movement objectives, and that just means be within 2 inches of it so that you can scan it. This unit wants to be out of line of sight. It has 6 walking and 9 running movement, so I'm just going to go ahead and run it. Not going to use mask or anything, just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll go there. Moving 8 hexes gives you a 3 target movement modifier, so if something tries to attack it, they will have to pay a 3 penalty, meaning their roll needs to be 3 higher. And the black just means it's a running unit. All right, and for my move, I'm going to use the Cicada, which has 8 walking and 12 running movement. So I think what I'm going to do is try to get it right around here or here so that Shadow Cat can't totally hide. Let's get some blood. So I'll zoom out a little bit there so you can watch it. So I'm going to use running movement. I'm not going to use a supercharger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 turn for 8, 9, 10. I'm going to go right there. So that will be 9 total hexes. That's going to give me a modifier of 3, just like the Shadow Cat. Now I'm going to move the Pegasus, which is one of my battlefield support assets. And if you've never used these before, they're pretty simple. If you played Alpha Strike before, it's probably easier. But they get a set amount of movement. They act like they're always running or flanking, as it is for vehicles. In terms of their skill, like their modifier, it's always going to be acting like they had run or flanked. And so they just get a set movement point. I can move 9 hexes. I still do the same thing as far as turns will count as 1. And that H at the end there means hover, which means it can go over the water. So normally if a mech would go into the water, it would have to pay additional movement points to get through there. But the hover tanks don't, they just float right on top of it. So I think I'm just going to take it right out into the middle here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just like that. Unlike the mechs that I just moved, you get a set target movement modifier right there, +3. So I don't have to even think about how many hexes did it move. It doesn't matter. Even if it stands still, they just get their target movement modifier no matter where they move. You can spend the 9 points however you like, but you're always going to get the target movement modifier that's on it. There's a Kit Fox. It, again, wants to get a waypoint or an objective that it can overlap. So I'm going to use this one because the Shadow Cat has this covered. If I call this thing a Shadow Hawk, I apologize. I do that all the time. Anyway, the Shadow Cat's got this one. Kit Fox is going to go up there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And just like everything else, that's going to be a black dice with a 3 on it. I also didn't realize down here, this is the problem. I don't know these mechs very well, but the Cicada cannot hit this thing. It only has up to 9 hexes of range. The Shadow Cat has up to 14 hexes, but luckily this is 15. You can count it. It's 15 hexes, so these won't be fighting at all this round, but they're getting closer. The Phoenix Hawk, on the other hand, this can shoot up to 20 hexes away with its large pulse laser. So I think I'm going to take that one up here as well to try to scan. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like everything else, going to get a 3 on a black dice. All right, and finally, the little baby skulker is going to go. I usually, when I'm the skulker, I pretend that I'm talking like it and I use a really high-pitched voice. I'm going to try to avoid that in this playthrough. This has 9 wheeled movements. So that's wheeled, so it cannot go in woods. The hover tank can't go in woods either. It cannot go in water. So it's pretty much just going to be staying on ground for this. And it also gets a TMM of 3, so everything is going to have a black dice with a 3 on it. So it's just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and go right there. And there you have it. That's round 1 of movement done. We didn't encounter really any new rules, but hopefully seeing the battlefield support helps a little bit just to understand how that works. There's a Kit Fox going to fire at its opponent way off in the distance there, the Phoenix Hawk, kind of going after the same type of building. Going to use its rotary autocannon 5. Going to fire 3 shots from it. It's about 16 hexes away. Their line of sight is just to the left of that tree that looks like it's in the way, but it's actually not. All right, I don't think I mentioned at the beginning, but the clanners are going to have skills of 3 for the mechs. Inner sphere side, the mercenary side is going to have skill 4 for gunnery. So this is going to be a 10 to hit. It needs a 10 to hit its rotary AC 5, and then we would roll cluster hits to see how many hit. That is a 7. No hit. And there's the Phoenix Hawk. Going to fire back at the Kit Fox. The tree is actually not in the way, like I said before, and the building is not either. It's not going through the hex that is right up against the Kit Fox, so that's not going to get partial cover. So this is actually going to be a 9. It has a higher skill of 4, same TMM of 3, long range. So that's going to put it up to 11. It gets a -1 for the targeting computer and a -2 for the pulse. So that's going to be a 9. Let's go, Phoenix Hawk. Do you think you can get a 9? Does 10 damage if you hit. Oh, man, pathetic. All right, not terribly exciting, but welcome to Classic BattleTech. Sometimes you got some high target numbers, especially when you're at long range. Even with a targeting computer and pulse lasers, not enough to overcome. Don't worry, things are going to change real soon. We are in the end phase now. There's no heat generated or anything. They didn't really fire enough weapons to generate anything, so heat's all good. No physical attacks are possible. The Shadowcat is going to scan this building. They need to roll an 8 or higher to successfully scan it. Then we'll do the 1d6 roll to see if it has any useful intelligence that counts for victory points. So here comes the scan. That is a miss scan. So it's not successful, so this token will remain there. Kit Fox is going to try up on that building. Wow, it failed too. All right, I kind of forgot about that part of it because I was thinking, oh, these objectives are just going to be gone. But no, they have to successfully scan, which they did not. All right, Phoenix Hawk is going to scan that building. Needs an 8. Successful. All right, now we roll 1d6. We need a 4 or higher to get some points out of this. Womp womp. Nope. Okay, that goes away. No points. Nothing good in there. No good intelligence. The cicada down here is also going to try to scan. Needs an 8 or higher. No luck. All right, so those objectives will stay. So what we would do now is in the end phase, that's all done. So we're going to take all these dice off. And by the way, these dice are just recommended. You'll see it in the rule book. This is just the recommended way to mark the units so you know what their TMM is during the ranged attack phase and the physical attack phase. It just makes it way easier so you know what movement mode the unit used and you know what their target movement modifier is for calculating those numbers. Well, let's roll up some initiative and get into round 2. There you go. Unfortunately, I rolled it an initiative, not for anything actually useful. They will have to go first again, and I'm going to just summarize movement at this point. Hopefully, I've shown you enough to give you an idea. If any rules changes come up, I will let you know. Phoenix Hawk is up. Let's have some fun. I moved the Pegasus up here, and now I want to try to get this Phoenix Hawk into short range against the Kit Fox. And to do that, I want to try to get about here, and I'm going to have to use my supercharger to do that. So what the heck? Let's activate the supercharger. When I do that, this is going to double my walking speed, which is 6 for this Phoenix Hawk. So that'll take it up to a 12. I'll be using running movement for that. When I activate this equipment, I have to make a 2d6 roll, and I have to get a 3 or higher for the first time. If I roll a 2, it's going to generate a critical hit, I believe, in the center torso. I'll double check the rules if that happens. All right, all good. So I have 12 movement points to use. All right, and some of you might be saying this is supposed to prioritize the scanning objectives. That is true. I'm trying to balance things here. Sometimes in Classic, it gets a little bit difficult, but basically I would have to just circle around this thing in order to generate a target movement modifier. And that would leave it in kind of a precarious position here with a low TMM. If I just kept it where it was, it'd be even worse. So you do have to balance the TMM here with the other stuff that's going on. So there wasn't really a good place as its first movement to get it next to a scanning objective, give it a TMM, and also allow it to target something. So I just put it there for now. It'll have other opportunities to scan. There's the end of our movement. I think I covered these three here. The Shadowhawk wanted to get eyes on the Phoenix Hawk and moved out this way. Maxed out its TMM as far as it could for running, but it did not use mask to get there. At the time, the only thing that could see it was the Phoenix Hawk, but then the Skulker moved up this way and the Cicada moved this way. Cicada can scan here. Shadowcat can scan here. Sorry if I said Shadowhawk. Phoenix Hawk can scan there. We'll see if we're more successful on that than we were the last time. All right, let's do some fighting. It's time for some pain, some serious pain. The Kit Fox is going to fire the rotary autocannon 5 and its Streak SRM 6 into the Phoenix Hawk. Going to use all 6, baby, for that rotary autocannon. Why not? Short range. No minimum ranges, thank you, clans. These are just going to be 6s to hit. Holy moly, there are my big rolls. I didn't even need them this time. Okay. Let's roll on the cluster hits table. Hope we don't hit a 12 this time. That's a 9. That's going to be pretty high. That's going to be 5 groups of 5 hitting the Phoenix Hawk. And obviously we did not jam the autocannon because we would have had to roll a 4 or less to do that. So nice high rolls this time. Okay, pain coming for the Phoenix Hawk. Let's do the autocannon first. This is going to be 5 groups of 5. Rolling them up on the front table. Center torso and arms. 10 to the left arm, 10 to the center torso, and 5 to the right arm. That's it for the Phoenix Hawk's left arm armor. Now we're going to roll 6 SRM missiles that do 2 damage each. When you have a Streak missile launcher, when it connects, all of the missiles hit. You get an automatic roll of 12 on the cluster hits table. So unless I had anti-missile system, nothing you can do about it. Here comes 6 missiles. Okay, we're going to have a critical hit on the left arm. We got 4 to the center torso, 2 to the left leg, 2 to the right torso, and 2 to the right arm. Here comes the critical hit. I might use my edge token if I roll 12 or something here. Okay, just a 5. That is no critical hit. Phoenix Hawk wants revenge. Gonna torso twist and fire its large pulse laser and 2 medium pulse lasers. I have no idea what AP Gauss rifles do. Somebody help me out. So I'm just gonna pretend that I guess they're only supposed to be for battle armor. So I won't be firing them except at the elementals. As much as I would love to do a targeted shot here, an aim shot, unfortunately, that would put it to an 11 to hit. I don't think that's going to be worth it. So it's just going to be 5s. Here we go. Green is the large. That is, just barely, but that is everything. And this is all coming in on the front. Here we go. The large pulse laser does 10 damage. That's going right to the center torso. The mediums are going to hit the arms. Wow. Same kind of spread. Okay, that stripped all of the armor on those 3 parts. It actually went internal on the center torso. Wow, it can't even take 10 on the center torso. Crazy. All right, here comes the critical chance roll. That's nothing. The Pegasus is up next. So in terms of combat, you're going to look at their skill rating, which is a 6, and they do 4 groupings of 7 damage. So in the new rules, each of those groupings is rolled as a separate attack roll. So that's going to make this a 12. 6 skill plus total 4 modifier over here plus medium range. Because it's within 5 hexes, that's going to be 12s. But you get to roll 4 times, so there's a chance. Wow, that is a horrible roll. Shadowhawk's up. It's going to torso twist and waste a lot of firepower attacking this Skulker, but there's really nothing else that's close enough to make it worth it, and the Cicada is kind of behind it, so it's going to go for that Skulker, see if we can get a destroy check here on that battlefield support asset. 2 ER medium pulse lasers and 2 Streak SRM 6s. The blue and green are the medium pulse lasers. They just need 4s. The yellow and orange are Streaks. They need 6s. Wow, missed one. Everything else hits. So the way this is going to work is this is going to do 7 damage. That's going to trigger the threshold check. So you see that threshold there. So we're going to make a roll to see if we roll a 7 or higher to destroy it. And that's going to do 7 damage. The other 2 automatically hit all of their missiles. That's going to be 12 damage each, up to 24. So we're up to 31 damage total. That's going to give it a +3 to that check. So in other words, they're pretty much just going to have to roll a 4 to kill this thing. So there are certain damage levels that enact a bonus to the destroy check. When you hit 11, 21, 31, 41, each of those adds +1 to your roll for that destroy check. So it's going to have a +3 on the Skulker. The Skulker's up. It's like, he got... Oh, wait, no, I said I wasn't going to do that. Okay, it's going to attack the Shadowhawk. It is going to need an 11. Also has a skill of 6. Range is 3, 6, 9. So, yeah, that's going to be an 11. See if it can do it. Oh, you know what? Let's use our edge. What the heck? We'll use the edge to bump that up to an 11. That's going to do 5 damage. Coming in, I think, on the front. Yeah, it's just coming in on the front. Oh, so close to a headshot. That's a 9, so that's going to be the left leg. Speaking of destroy checks and things, I totally forgot that both of these took over 20 points of damage. They're going to have to make a piloting skill check at the end of the round to stay standing. All right, the cicada is up. It is attacking the shadow cat. It's a cat, not a hawk. And it's coming in on the left side, so the shadow cat gets to decide which direction, because that line goes straight through the hex. It's going to pick the left side, and it's going to use its 2 variable speed lasers, variable speed pulse lasers to be precise, and its re-engineered laser. These are all mediums. And let me try to walk you through how this works. Okay, the variable speed lasers have different damage at different ranges. 2 is short range, so this is 4 hexes away, that's medium. It does 7 damage at medium range, and it's going to get a -2 modifier at medium range. The re-engineered laser gets just an automatic -1 to its attack. It also does crazy stuff against different armor types, but we don't have any of that going on here. I got to think about this and figure out what the numbers are. All right, these are going to be the variable speed. We're at medium range, so these are going to be 7s. And this is the re-engineered laser. This is going to be an 8. Let's see what this cicada can do. Well, looks like it did pretty awesome. Hit absolutely everything. Coming in on the left side. And naturally, when you hit things on the left side, you are going to hit more things on the right side. We got 7 to the right arm, 7 to the right torso, and 6 to the left arm. All right, we are in the end phase. I did heat. The only thing that got a little bit of heat was a cicada. I think it got 2 heat. We're in the ilClan era. There are so many heat sinks, it doesn't matter. Actually, the shadow cat can overheat pretty badly. All right, so things got pretty messed up that turn. I think that's what you're going to get in the ilClan era. Lots of modifiers to help your shots and stuff. Let's do the destroy check on the Skulker. Like I said, it's a 7. It's getting a +3 to this roll. Wow, it got exactly what it needed. That's it for the Skulker. Hey, at least I did some damage thanks to an edge token. Let's move on to the mechs. So the Kit Fox is up first. I'm just going to say everything has a piloting skill 5. Clans probably have 4, but that's okay. Let's just say they're 5s. It has a +1 to this piloting skill check. If it gets a 5 or less, it's going to fall over. It passes. All right, now we'll do the Phoenix Hawk. Same thing. Ooh, just passes. Just gets the 6. So everything's good. We're going to go ahead and do some scanning now. So we'll start with the cicada. I'm going to try to scan. Needs an 8 or higher. Got it. 1d6 needs a 4 or higher. Got it. Okay. So I'm the only one who can get this, so I'll put this on my side. That's going to be 2 victory points there for some juicy intelligence. All right, Phoenix Hawk's going to try that one. Does not get it. Now I don't feel so bad about the Kit Fox. Shadow Cat's going to try that one. 8 or higher. Gets it. Needs a 4 or higher. Misses. All right, that one stays there. Okay, so I'm winning 2-0. And I cleaned everything up, and we're ready to go in the next round. I probably should have deployed the elementals that round, but I'll definitely get them out there this round. The clanners win this time, so I'll have to go first. All right, I took a little break and was watching a bit of what I did, and I realized there are 2 things I need to correct here. Number 1, if you are not successful on a scan, the token does not go away. So I made a mistake there. And when I say successful, I mean not only did the scan succeed with an 8+ on the 2d6 roll, but it also revealed intelligence. So this is the only one where we got intelligence. That was a cicada. All the rest are still here. Part 2, I realized for some reason when the Shadow Cat attacked the Skulker, there was an SRM attack that did not hit. I said it hit, but it actually didn't. I think I rolled a 5 and I needed a 6. It only did 19 points of damage to the Skulker, not 31. So that would have only been a +1 to the destroy check. And I rolled a 4 for it, so the Skulker is still hanging in there. That's my bad on that one. Now what happens, because that destroy check missed, I apply a -1 to that for the next time, so the check would only be a 6 if it gets it again. All right, let me do some movement. I'll probably cut in because I'm going to use the superchargers again, and we'll see if they continue to work. Okay, cutting it again. The Shadowhawk is going to use Mask. I'm also going to get to show you some rules changes when it comes to water. If I wanted to use walking movement, and I wanted to go into this little puddle here, which is a depth 1 water, in the current rules, I would need to make a piloting skill check for doing that. So it could go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'd have to make a piloting skill check to see if it falls down. and then I could go back up if I passed it. Now in the core rules that are coming, they're going to change this so that walking doesn't require a PSR. So I could just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and go on my way. The other changes in Total Warfare rules, I can't run into that hex. So I'd have to go around the hex. But one of the changes in the core rules is that you can run into water, but you will have to make that piloting skill check. So what the heck, let's just do it. Here's the mask check. All good. Got a lot of orange dice out here. There it goes. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4. That costs 3 movement points because I'm going down a level and I'm going into water and I'm going into a hex, which always costs 1 point. So that's 3 points to go down into that water. I have to make a piloting skill check to avoid falling. All right, no problem whatsoever. All right, that's where the movement ended. It's going to be kind of funny because we're going to have our first double scanning. Both sides can scan this objective. And then we're also going to probably have these two units flip their arms and they can fire at each other even though they're like past each other. And I didn't mention it, but both of the clan mechs are going to let the elementals out now. These units have a 360-degree firing arc, so they don't worry about what their facing is. That's actually the case with all assets unless they have a no turret special ability. Okay, one other weird little rules thing here. Elementals, when they dismount, they're supposed to be treated like they move 0 hexes this turn. I think that's what I read in the rules. However, assets, when they don't move, they still get their full TMM, so I'm going to mark them with a 2. I think that's the right thing to do here. Please let me know if I'm wrong. The Phoenix Hawk, standing proudly here next to the scanning objective. Really wants to fire at those elementals that just came out, but is going to make the smart play and go after the Kit Fox through the tree. Going to use its pulse lasers again. Still not clear on those AP Gauss rifles. This is a new pilot. Not really sure what to do with those. Just the pulse lasers. I think they're just going to be 6s. This is all at short range. Pink and purple are the mediums. Green is the large. We're going to say they're coming in on the front. It goes through the line again. We're going to say they're coming in on the front side. Okay, we actually missed one. All right, that's going to be so... Oh, that's not good. That's center torso and center torso. I think that's it for the Kit Fox. I think it's toast. The Kit Fox, smoke spewing out of its center torso, completely destroyed, cracks the engine, everything going downhill here. This mighty clan mech, no match for targeting computers and pulse lasers. Already destroyed, cored out through the center torso. The Kit Fox knows that it's doomed. Unfortunately, we didn't know that before the attack declaration, so it was just going to do 5. Going to need a 9 to hit these, not great numbers. Going to just shoot 5 with the rotary autocannon and then also shoot the Streak SRM-6. All right, yellow's the rack and the purple are the Streak SRMs. Need 9s. Goes down in a blaze of nothing. The poor elementals can't even attack. I'm definitely not using them right. Probably should have just brought some vehicles, but you know, they're clanners. They love elementals. Anyway, too far away to shoot. All right, Pegasus has a turret, so it's going to go ahead and shoot at the Shadowcat in the rear. Going to need an 11 to hit. Gets 4 chances to get it because it has 4 clusters of 7. Did it get one? So many high numbers, but it didn't get it. The little bitty skulker, too far away to hit, just like the elementals. And I'm back to hating the Cicada. It has no weapons in its arms. They're all in the torso, so it can't arm flip. I kind of forgot the elementals aren't allowed to attack because technically they don't get an action this round. They're probably going to do nothing this whole battle, whatever. Okay, this Shadowhawk is going to flip its arms. It has no lower arm actuators and no hand actuators, so it can flip its arms in reverse, and it's going to attack the Cicada. Unfortunately for it, the Cicada went super fast. It moved 12 hexes. It also has this in the way, technically, because it's coming, that hex is, the line's coming here, so it gets to choose where that attack comes. So it's going to pick the rear on this side, and it's going to have this in the way. So this is going to be 9s, I think. Gets a bonus from the targeting computer. It's going to fire both of its improved heavy lasers. Here we go. 9s it is. This is going to hurt real bad if it hits. Nothing. I thought everything was supposed to hit in the ilClan era. Maybe I'm just playing like an idiot. What a thrilling round of the ranged attack phase. Sorry about that. Didn't really get anything into great numbers there, so it's just one of those rounds. But that's okay, nothing overheated. The Cicada cooled down because it couldn't attack anything. And now we're going to do some scanning. So the Shadowcat is going to scan that building. It fails miserably. Holy cow, that was just awful. All right, Cicada will scan the same building. Also awful. All right, and last but not least, the Phoenix Hawk is going to scan that one up there. It is not successful. All right, we're not having so much luck with the scanning, are we? I'll hold my overall opinions until the end here, but why would you not take pulse lasers with a targeting computer? Seems like that's just the kind of the default thing to do. All right, I will roll up initiative and we will get into the next round. Here we go. They win again, so we have to go first. We're going to have to move. Well, I guess they have 3 units on there now, but we're going to have to move 2 to start, which is, by the way, another update to the core rules. The initiative order when you have unequal number of units is going to be front-loaded now instead of back-loaded. So we have 4 units on our side and 3 on their side. We have to go first. We'll need to move 2, and they'll move 1. And then we'll be at 2-2, and then we'll just go alternating 1 for 1. In Total Warfare, the current rules, before this comes out, we would do it the opposite way. We would go 1-1, 1-1, and then I would have to go 2 and then 1, which I think is a good move because otherwise it just gives way too much advantage to people who have a lot of units. Because even if they lose initiative, they basically still get to move their units last. There is the movement. Man, the mask and supercharges are fun, especially when you get in this close quarters. You actually can like get out of the way and make some moves. That's why the Kid Fox got its butt whipped, because it couldn't use that and it got stuck with just 9 movement points. So I'll just summarize the movement real quick. I moved the Skulker this way and the Phoenix Hawk, trying to get in a bad position for the Shadow Cat no matter where it wanted to go. And then I decided to move the Cicada up this way. I moved the Pegasus this way to get on the battle armor, the elementals. And I put the Cicada here because I wanted to make it so that really no matter where that Shadow Cat went, something was going to be able to shoot at it. I think I succeeded. But these elementals, I kind of forgot about them. And the Skulker was there, so they were able to jump into the same hex. So I think they can do a swarming attack. I got to look up the rules of exactly how that works with assets, but I think they basically just roll 2 extra clusters. I think it's as simple as that. All right, Cicada has no line of sight to the Shadow Cat because of the building in the way, so it's going to torso twist and attack the battle armor, the elementals. They're going after the Skulker. The Cicada is going to try to nab them here. Just realized they're painted the same color as my units. Ooh, maybe they're traitors. All right, going to fire its 2 variable speed lasers and its re-engineered lasers. Going to need 7s for the variable speed, which do 7 damage, and 8 for the re-engineered, which does 6. Sorry, I'm having a hard time with the movement modifier today. Those are going to be 11s normally. So the variable speed are going to be 9s. The re-engineered is going to be 10. Sorry about that. Here we go. Pink is the re-engineered laser, which needs a 10. Those are pretty terrible rolls. All right, the Skulker was going to attack the elementals, but I don't think they can because they're in the same hex. So I don't believe they can make a ranged attack. All right, Pegasus is up next. It's going to go for the other elementals. Has a skill of 6, and it has a 3 TMM for the elementals. Just going to be 9s. Rolls 4 damage clusters. Roll it up. Got 1. 1 damage cluster. So that's going to do 7 points of damage. And the threshold on these things is a 5. So we're going to get a check. They have a very high number for that check, though, a 9. All right, these elementals are going to fire right back. They're going to do 2 clusters of 6 damage to the Pegasus. They need 8s for these. And that was a 5 on that one, so that hits. Okay, so they do 1 cluster of 6 damage to the Pegasus, which has a destroy check of, or a threshold of 5 as well. So going to have a couple of destroy checks. All right, these elementals are going to go. They're going to swarm the Skulker, basically going to get all over the place on it, fire things at point blank range. And I don't think there's any special modifier for this, so it's also going to be 8s. Just going to roll 4 clusters instead. That's going to be 2, so that's going to do 12 damage to the Skulker, which we know has a threshold of 5, so that's going to do a +1. Another destroy check. The Phoenix Hawk is up, torso twisting, taking aim at the Shadow Cat. Going to use its usual assortment of pulse weapons. Okay, so get this. It's a 4 skill, +2 for running, so that's a 6. It's a 3 TMM for the Shadow Cat, so that's a 9. The large pulse laser is in short range, so that's going to be a -1 for the targeting computer, -2 for the pulse, so that's going to be a 6. Okay, and the medium pulse lasers are going to be 8s. So a 6 and 8s. Here we go. The green is large. Just needs 6s. Holy cow. Okay, that hits, and 1 of the medium hits. All right, rolling up locations on the front. That's going to be double left leg. So that's going to do 17 damage to that left leg. Shadow Cat only had 13 armor in that left leg, so we're going to get a critical chance here. What's interesting is in the core rulebook changes, it says that there will be a method to applying damage groupings, and it's going to be the largest damage grouping first, which is always smart because you want to strip the armor away and then try to get a critical with the smaller one. But that will be standardized, that you always apply it that way. I took it down to 3 with the large pulse, and then it went internal with the medium pulse. So let's roll up a critical check here. That's a 9. That's 1 critical check. So Shadowcat has the option to use Edge to get rid of this, which it probably should do, but we got to keep things exciting here, so let's just roll it up. That's a 5. That's going to be just a jump jet. Boo. Just for fun's sake, let's say it wants to spend the Edge token. Let's see if I roll a 12 and blow its leg off. Nah, but I still would have gotten one anyway, so wouldn't have mattered. Shadowcat firing back 2 ER medium pulse lasers and 2 streak SRM6s. The pulse lasers just need 5s. Those are the green and blue, and the streaks need 10s. Here we go. Oh, wow. Okay, the streak hits. Wow, one of the pulses missed, and this streak missed. All right, so those hit. This is going to do 12 damage. I'll roll that up separately. This is coming in on the left side of the Phoenix Hawk. So here is the medium pulse. There we go. Now we got the SRM coming as a crit seeker. Should be interesting. There's a headshot. This Phoenix Hawk only has 6 head armor. That went internal. We could get a critical hit on the head. Oh boy. Okay, and now I'm going to roll 6 SRM missiles. These are going to be 2 damage each. If one of these rolls a 12, the Phoenix Hawk is dead. And I do have to roll for the Phoenix Hawk a consciousness check anyway because it takes 1 damage. I'll do that in a second. All right, let me see if I remember. I think we avoided the headshot. There's what we ended up with. We got 4 to the left arm, 2 to the right arm. This should be over here. 2 to the left leg, 2 to the left torso, and 2 to the right torso, just kind of all over the place. All right, both that went in the left arm did a critical. They both went internal. So we're going to have 3 critical chances here. The green ones are the important, though. Those are the head. If I roll another 12, it's dead. Here we go. Okay, the head takes a critical, and the left arm takes a critical. Let's do these one at a time. Left arm is first. It only has upper. That's going to be the upper arm actuator. That's going to apply a penalty to the weapons in the left arm. Let's roll the headshot. The 3 is what I don't want because that will kill the Phoenix Hawk. It's a 5. That's sensors. That's going to eliminate that nice pulse laser bonus. Okay, maybe the clan still got it. What a disastrous round for the Phoenix Hawk. Wow. The clan's like, you think you're good because you have our technology now? Yeah, think again. Holy cow, what a crap load of damage. All right, I got to deal with all this and clean up, and then we'll do some sensor checking. Wow, that totally made up for the last round. That was crazy. Okay, we got a lot to do here in the end phase. All right, let's just do the destroy check. So I will go first. The elementals have a destroy check. It's a 9 to get that destroy check. Let's see. Nope. The elementals degrade. They get a -1. So next check will only be an 8. Time to do a check on the Skulker. It had a 7. Now it's down to a 6. There was a 1 bonus. I'm sorry. There is a 1 bonus for that, for the damage it did. So they basically need to roll a 5 to kill it. They kill it for sure this time. I did not make a mistake this round. Skulker is gone. Let's see if they can get some luck here on the Pegasus. The Pegasus has a check of 7. No bonus. Just needs a 7 or higher. And it got it. That was a 2. It got it. Pegasus is gone. Okay, all of a sudden, the whole thing has turned around. The clans look like they're in complete control of this. Let's do the Shadowcat. It's going to roll on that objective there on the large building in the north. Needs an 8 or higher. Gets it. Oh, man, everything's going the clan's way now. Need a 4 or higher on this one. They get it. They get it, so they're going to get 2 points. Now, I can get the 2 points, too, if I'm allowed to scan. So just let me check those rules real quick. The scanning rules don't say anything about sensors. Doesn't really say anything at all. It just says if the unit's there in the end phase and within 2 hexes of the objective, it can scan it. There's nothing about force withdrawal related to sensors, so I assume this unit is still good to go for now. All right, so it can scan, needs an 8 or higher. Just missed it. All right, so things are tied now. So just like that, this objective's gone, and the clans get it. Let's roll up initiative real quick and get to it. They win again. This has gone from bad to worse. Going back to that front-loaded initiative rule that we were talking about, this time I only have 2 units, they have 3. So I will move 1. I think I'm going to move the Phoenix Hawk first. And then they have to move 2. Then we'll go 1 and 1. Maybe this game is showing you that a lot of these rule changes just aren't things that are going to come up that often. Yeah, they're there, and when they do happen, you might not like the rules, but really not much else has happened so far. I mean, maybe I'm missing a few. I mean, there are like 160 rules, so forgive me if I've missed something. But for the most part, really haven't come up all that much. And I forgot exactly what I said I was going to forget. I never rolled a consciousness check for the Phoenix Hawk. Needs a 3 or higher. I could only see the one from my angle and I had to duck down to see the two. Okay. All right, we'll get into combat. I really don't think a whole lot can happen here. Yeah, the elementals only have 3 ranges, so it's really just the Phoenix Hawk and the Shadowcat trying to hit each other. I'd be very surprised if the Phoenix Hawk can do anything because it's really in bad shape here with that sensor hit. Shadowcat is going to shoot at the Phoenix Hawk. It's going through this tree, and of course it's sitting in these trees, so these are going to be 11s, but it's going to fire both ER medium pulse lasers. Doesn't get him. I was going to say, if it got a 10, it could bump it, but no luck on that. Let's see what the Phoenix Hawk can do. All right, Phoenix Hawk can hit with the large pulse laser. Needs an 11 to hit. No luck. All right, I inadvertently cleaned up the dice early because I didn't think it could hit anything, but then I double-checked the ranges, and it was actually good. So, all right, that's it. Everyone's going to cool off now, so there's really going to be no heat to talk about. So let's just do the scanning real quick. The Cicada is going to try to scan that objective. Nope. Shadowcat's going to try to scan that one. Yep. Doesn't get it, though. All right. That's the second time that's been scanned, I think, and unsuccessfully. On that note, let's roll up initiative. That was a real quick round. They win again. All right, moved everything but the Shadowcat. Shadowcat's going to activate its mask again. I think I'm down to just use it 1 turn because we cooled off for 1 turn. So it's going to need to roll 5 or higher. Did it. All right, there's where I moved it to. That Cicada's probably going to get lit up and only built a 2 modifier. I didn't want to risk the supercharger. Maybe I should have and let it move a little more than that, but that's all right. We'll give it a go. The Phoenix Hawk managed to get down here and hide, so it'll be able to scan and not have to worry about getting attacked. And the elementals can't do anything, so it's just going to be mech-on-mech combat between the Cicada and the Shadowcat. All right, Cicada's going to fire its 2 variable speed lasers and its re-engineered laser. The blue and green are the variable speed. They're going to need 10s, and the pink is a re-engineered, which needs an 11. Big numbers. Yeah, that hit. Okay, just 1 hit. It's all right, I'll take it. Coming in on the front. It's going to be the left arm. We got a critical hit on that. So that went internal on the left arm. On the Shadowcat, comes a critical check. Nothing. Shadowcat's up. I'm going to use 2 ER medium pulse lasers and 2 Streak SRM6s. You know, those improved heavy lasers, I guess they're kind of cool, but they just use so much heat, and this just doesn't have the heat sinks to deal with it. So I feel like it's better to use the medium pulse lasers because they get the huge bonus. So it's only going to be 5s for those. They're the blue and green. And the Streak SRMs are going to be 8s. Everything's in short range. Now, if things hit the legs, they will miss. This does have partial cover from that building. Okay, so 5s on the green and blue, 8s on the yellow and orange. Streaks miss, so they won't use any ammo. These 2 hit, and we'll roll these up on the front. 9s and 5s will be ignored. This is ignored. Wow, that's ignored. It's just going to hit the right arm for 3. Okay, we're all cleaned up. That was the first time the Cicada was hit, so just 7 damage to its right arm. Let's do some scanning. Shadowcat's going to scan that objective. Nope. Cicada is going to scan the same objective. Success. Come on, we need these points real bad. Got them. Okay, so we take that, and those go in our pile. So we're up 4-2 now. And now the Phoenix Hawk is going to scan this one. Let's see if we can get lucky again. Oh, so close. Running out of objectives, the Shadowcat's going to have to start spreading out. It might not be able to just hunt us down anymore. Initiative time. It'd be really great if we win this. We don't. This mission goes to 8 rounds, and we're on round 7. Just this one and the next one, and then it ends. So everyone's going for the objectives now. I mean, the Shadowcat kind of has to, or otherwise they're going to lose. The only thing it can shoot is the Shadowcat at the Cicada up there. It's going to be a 10. It can only shoot with its right arm ER medium pulse laser. Gonna need a 10. Nope, that's it. That's it for shooting. Another super exciting round, but you can thank the mission objectives for that. But the real exciting part is the scanning. Okay, Shadowcat really needs to get this. All right, has a chance to get it. Got it. So we're tied. We're tied again. Okay, Phoenix Hawk's gonna scan that same one. Nope, so that goes to the clan. And the Cicada will scan that one up there. This one's been very elusive. Got a 50% chance of getting it. Yes. All right, we got it. So there's only 1 objective left. So basically the Shadowcat has to make a beeline for this and see if it can grab it just to tie it. That's just going to tie the game. Let's roll up initiative. Luckily, that nothing used mask or superchargers, so everything is down to the base, which is just don't roll a 2. But it's the last round, so who really cares? They win again. maybe the Cicada will go down here and just try to compete with it. And then I think the Phoenix Hawk's just going to stay where it is. Just wait for this mission to be over. Who am I kidding? This mission doesn't matter. It's going right after the Shadowcat. Okay, there's a movement just for your entertainment. I just took the elementals off because they were useless. Sorry about that. I should have brought something else, but that's okay. At least they got to swarm one thing. All right, so the Phoenix Hawk walked, the Shadowcat walked. They're going to try to kill each other. Cicada is going to try to take the Shadowcat out from the back. We'll see some physical attacks. That's another thing I wanted to show here. But now that I think about it, the Phoenix Hawk might not survive. Maybe I should move it up there. Let's just go with it. Let's let the Cicada go first. Going to shoot the Shadowcat right in the back using both variable speed lasers and its re-engineered laser. Variable speed are the green and blue, and the re-engineered is the pink. Green and blue need 7s, pinks need 8. All right, just got one of the variable speed, just these green here. They hit. Let's see where they hit. It's gonna be the center torso rear. Let's see how much armor it has there. Only has 6 on the Shadowcat. That's gonna be a critical hit chance. Here we go. That is 1, and the Shadowcat should use its edge, but that's okay. Let's just have some fun. The orange will be the upper lower, and the green will be the critical. It'll be 1-4. You know, that's perfect. That's a gyro hit, so I'll get to show you the changes to the gyro hit when we get to the end phase. All right, the Phoenix Hawk is going to unload with all its pulse lasers. The green are going to be the large. The purple are going to be the non-affected medium laser. And the pink are going to be the affected one because the left arm took an actuator hit. So the green are going to be a 5 because it's going to be a 4 skill, +1, +1. So that's 6. It's going to have the targeting computer for a -1. The sensors and the pulse offset, so that's a 5. Purple are also going to be a 5. And the pink are going to be a 6. That's what we got going on. 6 hit, green and purple both hit. So everything hits. Let's see where they go. A lot of damage coming in, 24 damage. All right, everything on the right. Right arm, right leg, right torso. Right leg takes the 10. Right arm's going to be a critical hit, and this unit is actually crippled at this point because it has internal damage on its left arm, right arm, and left leg. So this Shadowcat would actually be in force withdrawal at this point. Doesn't matter though. Okay, no critical hit, but it will get a +1 for taking 20 points of damage, and it's going to get a +3 total because it's going to get an extra +2 from the gyro hit. Now the gyro is changed in the core rules. This would be a 4 under total warfare rules. +3 for the gyro, +1 for the damage it took. This is just going to be a +3. It will make 2 separate piloting skill rules, 1 for the damage and 1 for the gyro. But that's a modification in the core rules. Gyros are just a +2 now for the first hit. Let's show some other rules. The Shadowcat's going to flip its arms behind it to fire at the Cicada, and it's going to shoot its Streak SRM-6s at the Phoenix Hawk as the primary target, and because it has to be, if you have a unit in the rear, the front has to be the primary target, and it's going to attack the Cicada in the rear with its 2 improved heavy lasers and its 2 ER medium pulse lasers. Here's what's changed in the core rules. When you do multiple attacks, so multiple targets, normally if a target is in the back under total warfare rules, that's going to be a +2 modifier for the extra target. Under the core rules, they're changing that. It's just a flat +1 for each additional target. So this will only have a +1 modifier to attack the Cicada. All right, the SRMs are going to be a 5 to hit. That's it on these streaks. All right, they both hit. 12 missiles. Going to be doing a lot of rolling here. Here's the first set. Everything on the right side. 4 right torso, 6 right arm, 2 right leg. Okay, we're going to have 2 critical hits on the right arm. I'm going to roll these again for the second one. All right, kind of all over the place. 4 right torso, 4 right leg, 2 left leg, 2 left arm. The right torso might go internal. No, it was able to soak all of that, but the left arm is destroyed, and I think I still roll a critical hit on it because it had a Gauss rifle in it, and I think if a Gauss takes a critical hit, it explodes, if I remember correctly. All right, so I'm going to roll up the critical hits. These 2 are for the right arm. This one's for the left arm. Okay, both get 1 critical hit each. I'm going to do the left arm first. I'm just going to roll these separately. I think only the Gauss rifle matters. So it's a 2 and a 4. Okay, those are just 2 actuators. The Gauss was the 6. And then for the right arm, the pink will be the upper lower. The orange will be the critical. That's going to be upper 4. That's a hand actuator. Hey, that'll come into play if we decide to punch, which actually we can't do because we fired all the arm weapons. All right, last up. 2 improved heavy lasers. 2 ER medium pulse lasers. These need 5 on the Cicada. These need 8s. Let's roll them up. Okay, the ER medium pulse hit. and 1 of the heavy lasers hit. Wow, this is going to be a lot of damage. And by the way, I forgot to put the piloting skill check on the Phoenix Hawk as well. Okay, here we go. This is going to be 24 damage coming to the Cicada into the front. All right, so 10 damage to the left torso, 7 to the right torso, 7 to the right leg. That Cicada has a ton of armor. Soak that, no problem. But it will have a piloting skill check. Because we're done with the range attack phase, we're going into the physical attack phase, so we've got to make these rolls now. So let me put this back. All right, Phoenix Hawk will go first, needs a 6 to stay upright. Gets it. Cicada also needs a 6 to stay upright. Fails. All right, here's what's changed. So normally you would roll 1d6, and you would figure out how many hexes it's going to turn right or left, and which side it's going to fall on, and that's the side it will take damage on. You don't do that anymore. Now you just roll 1d6. It's going to fall in its current facing, so it's going to fall with the facing it has right now, and only if you roll a 1 does it fall on its back. Otherwise, it falls on its front. Okay, got a 5, so it just falls on its front, and then they're going to roll to do 4 damage to the front side, and that's going to be 4 to the right torso, which is no problem, still holding strong. Okay, now the Shadow Cat's going to roll. The Shadow Cat's going to need an 8 2 times. All right, fails the first one, so it doesn't matter. All right, same thing. So I'm going to roll 1d6. Only on a 1 would it fall on its back. Okay, got a 4, falls on its front. Shadow Cat is going to get 5 damage to the front. That's going to be right in the center torso, which it can also soak. Now, what's interesting is the Phoenix Hawk now can kick it on the ground. So that's fun. So we'll use the full table for that. So it falls, and now the Phoenix Hawk will be able to kick it in the physical attack phase. So here's what changes in the physical attack phase. Normally, when you kick something, you're going to have a -2 to the target number. That's in Total Warfare. And the core rules are going to switch that to a -1, and that's the same for punches. So punches and kicks are equal now. Both get a -1. In this case, it's prone, so I'm going to end up getting a -2 as well, because it's sitting on the ground prone in an adjacent hex. And I'm going to roll on the normal table because it can basically kick any body part. I really wanted to kick the center torso or the head. That would be fun too. It's going to need a 4. All right, got it. So that's going to deliver 9 damage. Here we go. I got the left arm. So the left arm gets blown off, but that's not enough to do anything super serious. But that's where we're going to end it. That's it. That's round 8. They weren't able to get over there to scan. So we're going to win. We have 6. It all kind of worked out. We didn't have to split up the waypoints. We got 6 VP. They got 4 VP. We are victorious. All right, there you have it. Our final scene. Despite everything the Phoenix Hawk went through, it is the last mech standing on our battlefield. And of course, over here, I have a Game of Armored Combat box, which is about to be replaced when all the core products are released. This will become the core box. And that's what I was trying to demonstrate during this playthrough. I hope it helped. I know that I made some mistakes throughout. It was a lot of stuff to keep track of. I did my best. I do always try to rewatch and catch my mistakes and just let you know about them. Unfortunately, I can't re-record every single thing that I screw up. I would literally be here forever re-recording stuff. It just, yeah, I'm sorry. I can't do that. So hopefully the notes are good enough for you. But I decided to take a break. I started getting into my thoughts immediately after I was done playing, and I just started rambling, and nobody wants to watch that. So I thought, let me just break. I'll collect my thoughts, and then I'll just try to give them to you here. And I think what I'm going to do is just give you my quick reactions to what I did. And I'm going to have a separate video where I really get into the mechanics of the rules, what I thought of the ilClan era, and some of the lore stuff if you're interested in that, like just what I thought about reading through the new era, understanding what's going on, how this leads into the gameplay and what players are going to be able to do. So if you're interested in that stuff, I'll just put it in a separate video. Let's start with the mission. This was the urban sweep, and I just randomly rolled that. I honestly haven't looked throughout that entire playtest package. This was number 4, by the way, the missions playtest. And I thought it played pretty well. It was very balanced. It had interesting objectives that made you have to move around. Kind of had to get in the middle a little bit, and you had to adjust to wherever those objectives were coming off the board. Definitely a major improvement over what was going on in Total Warfare, where they had these examples. I mean, I've played those and they're fine, but this definitely felt like a step up from that. And I'm sure the other missions are that way too. For me personally, I'm more of a narrative, story-based mission kind of person. I like to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I like when one side has different objectives from the other side. That's just the kind of person that I am. This felt a little gamey to me, which I generally don't like. And by gamey, I just mean an even number of objectives. You have the exact same objectives as your opponent. There is some randomness involved, but overall, it's an extremely balanced mission. It doesn't really matter what the story is, you're both trying to do the same thing. That's just kind of what I mean. A lot of people love that. If you're someone who's watched Death from Above wargaming videos, they are really into that. They like those objectives around the map, control the area, this objective goes hot, that one goes hot. They like that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of people do, especially if you play other war games. It seems like that's a very popular thing. Just my personal taste. And probably most of all, I appreciate the effort that went into it. You can tell that they really tried to make these missions clear. I did reread the rules a few times, but every question I had was answered in that book. So I really like that. The other thing, which I didn't really mention during the playthrough because it didn't come up, was that force withdrawal, which did finally come up at the end, but the mission was over, has been changed in these missions. And specifically, one of the parts is saying that the unit that's in force withdrawal has to use at least half of its movement points to move toward the escape edge. I like that change because the way force withdrawal is in Total Warfare, you can pretty much just go back one hex and just keep fighting and ignore the force withdrawal. I do like that there's a little flavor in that you are actually trying to get off the battlefield and you have to make progress toward that. How about the core rules, which were a major part of why I put this playthrough together? I'll put up a curated version of the list of rules and categories that I came up with in the preceding video, and I'll just show you the rules that came up. There were only about 8 in total. And by that, I mean there were 8 that I used during the playthrough. There was one that I forgot, I think, and then a couple that could have or would have come up if we had another round or if maybe I did things a little bit differently. For example, aim shots, which I decided not to do. I will say I did not feel like these changes got in the way of the game at all. And I don't feel like it took anything away from the game or really added anything to the game. It was just a few things that were a little bit different. And like I said, some of the bigger ones I didn't really encounter. So, take that for what it is. But for the rules that I did run into, it was really nothing. The game still felt like BattleTech to me. But again, this is just one single game where some of the rules didn't come up. I think that's going to be the case with most games, though. You're not going to run into a huge portion of those 100+ rules changes. You're just going to encounter a few of them. Things like water level changes, some of the falling stuff that I ran into, those are going to be common, but some of the other ones are going to be hit or miss. Now, there are definitely some other concerns that wouldn't come up in a playthrough like this that people have been commenting on my other video about. What about battle value? Battle value is going to need to be adjusted for a lot of the things that they changed here. When is that going to happen? I think they're working on it, but I don't know exactly when that's going to be. So when you're playing missions like this that are very balanced, you want to make sure that the units and forces you're bringing to the table are somewhat balanced, or at least you can reliably say whether they're balanced or not. I don't know if that'll be the case when this first comes out. Now, at the risk of beating the very, very, very dead horse, I'll talk a little bit about battlefield support, which obviously came up in the playthrough because I used it. I still am very confused about it, or just, I mean, somebody mentioned in a comment in one of my videos that it's just not for me. That's the bottom line. It's just not for somebody like me, and I think I agree with that. But just playing through this in the ilClan era, it kind of opened my eyes a little bit more to just say, I don't get what these units really offer to the game. I mean, the movement in this case was the biggest thing that stuck out. I mean, the Pegasus, which is normally a very speedy unit, can only move with 9 points. And all the other units on the map either had that or more. And then when you're playing with these units that have pulse lasers and variable speed lasers and get all these modifier benefits, they feel so out of place. They can barely do anything. All their target numbers are going to be super high compared to the mechs that are going to have super low target numbers. It just didn't feel like they really served any purpose in the game. They could have just not been there, and I don't think the game would have been any different. It really was just these two mechs on my side and their side fighting against each other. But, as I'm saying that, I'm thinking, okay, that's exactly what they want. So I guess I'm proving their point. These things are just going to be useless. They're going to get blown up. They add a little bit of spice to the game, I suppose. They just go away, and then it's all down to the mech combats. As I talked it out, I guess it's doing exactly what they want it to do. And as far as playing in the ilClan era beyond what I just said about battlefield support, it was interesting to see the different equipment available. Some of it I found really fun, especially Mask and the superchargers. I thought they were a really cool risk-reward proposition of, yeah, they're going to work early most of the time, but as you continue to use them, there is a chance that you could do catastrophic damage to your mech. But I really enjoyed that ability to get out of a pinch when you were in the middle, like when you were all close together. You could get out of that, which a lot of times in BattleTech you can't. And that's why the Kit Fox was in trouble, because it didn't have one of those systems. Now on the combat side, the stuff really didn't do that much for me personally. I mean, it was fun having things hit a lot. and doing tons of damage every round. But when it comes to the pulse lasers and the targeting computers, it just felt like it trivialized a lot of the game. Like you're getting a -3 modifier on the for the Phoenix Hawk. I screwed up the Shadowcat. It should have only gotten a -2 because it's only -1 if it's an ER pulse laser. But I mean, still, it's a pretty significant modifier to those attacks. And it just made me think, why wouldn't you have these weapons when you play? Like, why would you not take a mech that has pulse lasers? I mean, I know there's other things maybe that give you good modifiers, but it just felt like every unit should have these because they're just so good. And it just seemed to take away from the pilot or the human side of the game. They're just kind of insignificant. So I didn't care for that too much. I just felt like the equipment was taking over the game rather than keeping things focused on, yes, the mechs are there, but it's also humans inside that are piloting them. And I spent a lot of time looking this stuff up. Like the overall playthrough, like the gameplay really didn't take that long, but just the amount of time I spent referencing the Battle Mech manual to get an idea for what these weapons did. And granted, this is my first time playing with a lot of them, so I don't have them memorized. I suppose you can memorize all of this. It just felt like a lot to me. I felt like I was spending a lot of time trying to remember what these modifiers were, and I still didn't get it right most of the time. I did like the rotary autocannon, though. I'll say that. It has that risk reward to it, and I think maybe that's the key for me. I like that it could jam, but it's real powerful if it doesn't. I like that there's at least some way that this could backfire on you. The pulse lasers have no downside. I guess the bottom line for me is I like to spend my time playing the game and telling a story in the game rather than trying to pick out equipment and the right modifiers to min max my force. I'm just not into that kind of thing. So I feel like this just doesn't appeal to me as much as Succession Wars, which simplifies a lot of those weapons things because you don't have to look up a bunch of things. You pretty much just have to know the cluster hits table. That's about it. So I think that just suits me a little bit better because I'm more concerned about the story on the table. But I get it. Some people really get into that stuff. They like to geek out on the different equipment and trying to pick out what they think would work best. And that's totally cool. I think for me personally, this era might work better for Alpha Strike because it just eliminates all that stuff. I mean, I know there are special abilities, but for the most part, it would kind of abstract that out. And I would enjoy that more like I did in Scouring Sands. I thought that was a lot of fun, and I didn't really have to worry too much about all the different special modifiers and things. Last thing, learning the game. So if somebody bought the core box, what do I think about that compared to buying this box, which had the Succession Wars rules in it, or the Intro Tech rules as they're called? I still find it hard to believe that you're going to tell me somebody is going to be able to learn this version of the game just as easily as they could learn this version of the game. I don't buy it. I'm someone who knows the BattleTech rules very well. Well, at least I think I do. The number of notes I put in the video makes me question that, but I'm familiar with the rules. I know how they work. And it took me a lot of time playing this game and looking up all the differences. It's just not something I think someone could remember after playing the game once or twice. I think it takes a lot of experience to learn all this different equipment and rules. And from what I've heard from people, the mechs that they're including in the starter box are pretty advanced. I guess we'll see what happens if they're going to tone them down a little bit to make them easier to use. Not sure. But when I'm thinking about what I did here, I feel like that's going to be tough on a new player. Again, I get that they want people to play ilClan. The only way to do that is to make the boxes start in ilClan. That's just what they've got to do, and they're going to have to hope people can pick up on it. They'll get it eventually. I just don't think it's going to be nearly as easy as it was with this box. All right, I'm going to cut it there. Like I said, I'll make another video, talk more about the lore of ilClan, and I'll get in a little more detail about the things I talked about here. Hope you enjoyed the playthrough. I hope it helped just give a perspective of what this will be like if you've never done ilClan before. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. As always, love the feedback. Thanks for watching.